Hi there, welcome to Inside F&M Wrestling. I'm Brad Weltmer here for GoDiplomats.com, and joining me as always is Franklin Marshall head wrestling coach Mike Rogers. Mike, thanks for taking the time out of your day to sit down here with us.
Yeah, no problem.
So let's start off with last Saturday. Your team traveled to Fairfax, Virginia to take on George Mason. The score was back and forth there for a little while in the beginning. Your team actually had a 12 to 8 point lead heading into 174, but then the Pioneers rattled off 4 straight to take the contest. So just talk a little bit about your team's performance from Saturday.
Yeah, overall, one thing that we kind of weren't too happy with was not getting off the bottom. Again, that's kind of causing us some problems. But it's a team that beat us, by 20-some points last year, and this year we cut it down to a 12-point difference. So I think that was a big improvement from last year, and that's what we're looking for. We always want the wins, we want the success on that end of it, but we're also looking for improvement and progress. It was a competitive match. We were going back and forth, especially at the lighter weights, and we knew they were stronger at the upper weights, or 74, 84, and their heavyweight was. Match Alex kind of get caught and pinned at the end. I think that would have been a little bit more competitive. But I think overall we did a okay job of wrestling some of those matches. But I think the ones that we need to focus on is again, we got to get off the bottom. We got to push our pace. We got to keep the momentum going, especially in those upper weights. But it's tough being on the road and traveling down there. But like I said, we're focusing on the improvement. So last year, we've cut into that point difference. So we're hoping every year that we're making a little bit of progress on those type of teams.
And then your team stayed on the road for Sunday. You traveled out to Davidson for a tri-match against the Citadel and then the host Wildcats. So Citadel came out on top in your opening duel, but your team really responded well with the 27-7 win against Davidson later in the day.
Yeah. The Citadel, the main reason we put Citadel on the schedule is we really wanted to watch, Rick Durso wrestle their 41-pounder Oogie. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, Mongolian name, but he finished 4th in the country last year, and we wanted Rick to wrestle him. He took 4th at 141, Rick's weight class, so we really wanted to have that head-to-head matchup because we won't see him anywhere else in a conference or in any tournament. So, and that was a great, and Rick ended up winning that match. It was a great match. Came down to Rick had to get last 30 seconds, got a takedown, rode him out. So it was a great win for him. But as a team overall, the score is a little bit lopsided. I think it was 30 to 3 or 31 to 3. But there were 6 matches that were 2 points or less. So that's a huge swing. If we could even clean up half of those 6 wins, that's a huge difference in the score. Again, I think what the Citadel issue was, again, we're giving up riding time, not getting that escape point, and those are 2 key positions. Bottom, you can't get up the riding time. There's 1 point, and you get escape. There's another point. There's 2 points that we need to make up in some of those matches. But it was good for our guys to see them come back after a tough loss. We wrestled Citadel first, and then we had to come back through and wrestle Davison. And Davison's a very competitive team for us. I mean, they're very similar in a lot of ways. And then we're wrestling them there after being on the road on Saturday, and then traveling Saturday night, and then wrestling a match, taking a tough loss, and then having to rally and come back through. And our guys really responded well coming back through and wrestling the Davison program. I think what we had to do, we had to kind of shift our lineup a little bit, which I don't think they were prepared for, but we brought Scott Stevens, and Scott Stevens has been dealing with some injury, but him and Robert Ruiz at 33 had kind of been going back and forth, and they had a good 33-pounder, but they had a really good 49-pounder that we were trying to match Rick up against, and basically we wanted to see as our best guy against their best guy. I have to give Scott Stevens some. Like I said, if we had a game ball, we'd give it to him because he went out against their 33-pounder, which is a national qualifier, and Scott hasn't competed in weeks. I mean, he's in practice but hasn't competed. Went out there and beat their starting 33-pounder, and I think that gave him momentum. We moved Robert to 41, and then we moved Rick to 49 against their better kid at 49, and it was a good match. And Rick ended up winning the match 9-8 on ride time, but it was a good match for Rick, and I think that kind of gave us the momentum going into the upper weights, and our guys just followed up, and then I think they only picked up 2 wins at 74 and 84, and then Alex had a nice performance at the end. He lost to the Citadel kid in overtime, which is kind of a heartbreaker, and then he had to come right back and wrestle another tough kid at Davison, and he did a good job of kind of recovering off of that loss, and then wrestling and winning a nice solid, finishing off the dual meet for us. So it was a long trip back. We got back on Monday about 3 a.m. So it was a tough road trip and competing and all that. But I think it was good for our guys. It made them a little bit tougher, I think, made them a little bit harder. And now being on the road traveling's not a big deal for them. So, but all our other matches are close. So we're either at home or we got, Princeton, or we have, they're all Drexel. So it's, Philly, Jersey, and then home. So it made our home stress is going to be a little bit easier for us on travel-wise.
Yeah, and then this upcoming Saturday, you guys have Princeton, a team that regularly shows up on your schedule. So just talk a little bit about the Tigers and what do you expect out of your wrestlers this weekend?
They've been wrestling tough this year. We've been keeping an eye on them. We wrestle them on our schedule. They're in our conference. It's a nice dual meet for us. It's always nice to wrestle those Ivy teams. I think it's a good comparison with it's good company to be in if you can compete and wrestle with those guys. I think we're strong in the lighter weights. And but their middle upper weights are pretty tough. So it's going to be one of those deals again, and we have to win the close ones and not give up bonus, and then we can get the bonus. So I say on paper they're probably favored, but I think we're definitely going to be competitive in that match if we wrestle the way we've shown. And our guys are pretty healthy. Everyone's pretty, feeling pretty good. So this is a light week for us. We're just going to, train, keep everyone's weight under control, and we're doing a lot of scouting reports and looking at any issues we had last week and what we need to fix. Spend a lot of time individually with guys, a lot of individual sessions, working on each guy's, tweaking each guy's performance and working on their strengths and weaknesses. And I think our guys are ready to show up. I think they would, Princeton would be a great win for us, any of those type of teams, especially in our conference. Each individual match, it could be a potential seeding implications going into our conference here in a few weeks. So it's very important to us, but it's going to be a good match, and hopefully we'll come out with a good performance.
Great. Thanks for sitting down here with us, and good luck on Saturday.
Thanks. We get the new backdrop.
Yeah, stepping it up around here. So thank you for tuning in here with us. Be sure to like F&M Wrestling on Facebook, follow them on Twitter, and subscribe to the GoDiplomats YouTube page.